morning. My name is Jon Cambell. As Bill said, I'm here to talk about the use of biometrics, specifically in a tablet form, but I'm going to do some background and other work to get us there. Next slide. Not sure how many people are familiar with biometrics, but identity domination is critical, both CONUS and no CONUS, for knowing who is who and who is not who. Next slide. Identity authentication is not a hard task, but it's a task that takes some effort. Just about any kind of access control device can be made biometrically enabled. Next slide. Briefly, I'm not sure how familiar everyone is, the mainstream biometrics: fingerprints, hand finger, facial recognition, voice recognition, iris, and retinal scan. I believe the last presentation included a retina scan.
Some sort of version of biometrics.
Right, right. Today, I'm going to talk about using the iris. Next. It's not. Do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay. See if.
Just keep on talking.
Keep on talking. Today, now we'll go into hand puppets. I'm not sure everyone is familiar with how precise an iris is. Each iris is different. The iris is formed at about the age of 3. It's a little bit before, but and then it stays to 15 minutes after you die. Then all the blood leaves your iris and it goes away. And since they're both distinct, if you're doing a 2-iris match, it's in the 1 to about 3 trillion that you would get it incorrect. Some of the other advantages of the iris over fingerprint, handprint: your iris doesn't get dirty. You can use it with glasses. Your hands and fingerprints change if you work out or do other things. You have to take off your gloves. We're going to show you how we can use the iris, and it can be non-obtrusive. If you'll come upstairs to the booth, I'll show you how we can do it on the move. We may see it in video. We may or not. Bill, just go back to the other one. All right, maybe we will get videos. Up to now, does anybody have any questions? The difference between the iris and the retina scan: the iris is the color portion of the eye, and it's not measuring color. There's a distinct pattern there. So an iris recognition is looking at that, whereas a retina scan is looking at the blood pressure and others that are going through the eye. So there is a distinct difference between an iris scan and a retina scan. Facial recognition it maps the face and breaks it up and uses facial recognition. Matching algorithms. Bill, it's not that big a deal. Just go back to the... It's okay. Next slide. Most people are familiar with just using an ID card as a form of entry. ID cards can be transferred. There's a far greater ability of who you are versus what you know or what you carry. So that's the approach we're using on why using biometrics as a form of enhancement, identity authentication, is important. Next. SRI Sarnoff, again, upstairs, uses a technology called iris on the move, which allows at a distance and on a move to be able to capture the iris and do an identification, which is actually pretty good. They have it in both the handheld version and they have it in a stationary. Next. Portfolio of products ranges everything from a portal. They can put it on any kind of existing access control, an in-glance, to a meat grinder. We have enrollment stations, and we have handhelds. Next. This neat video, if we had it, would show the one on the bottom right. It's kind of neat. It's used for time and attendance on a construction company in Oman where they were having people sign in for different people. This way, they know exactly who showed up and who didn't show up. Next slide. What this video would demonstrate is on an access control, just keeping a continuous movement and being identified. So they do up to roughly 30 people a minute. Next slide. Their systems, they can go inside, outside, but they also have a drive-up system to where you drive up in your car, can do anything from a Mini Cooper to an F-350, identifies the face, finds the iris, and does a match. Next. If I had the videos, I was going to show you a handheld that can do an off-axis up to 30 degrees on the move from a distance of about 7 feet, which is pretty good in capturing an iris. Because again, most of the time on an iris identification, it's about throwing the light, which we do in near IR, and then taking a picture and then mapping that picture and matching it against a matching algorithm. Next. So what I specifically told Bill I'd like to demonstrate is it's a Samsung tablet that SRI has partnered with Samsung to make it to biometrically enable. Not that I can speak for Samsung, nor would I, but their goal is to go after like Apple iPay and some of the others in a commercial application. I see applicability within the military, so that's why I'm here. Go one more slide. Oh, okay, go back. This slide would have built, it'd show you that inside here is just a regular Galaxy Pro tablet. And it shows you how fast it was able to identify me, because what they've done is they've included, and I'll show it to you afterwards if anyone wants to see it, where they've put the light and added an additional camera. With the use of a prism, I call it a light bender, it has the ability to do it forward or back. So you could use it actually as a device to authenticate someone else. The main thing we saw in the military was trying to get rid of the CAC cards and others to be able to use it as a form of identification vice just the normal CAC. Next.
John, I just want to keep on that point. Is that going back to the network to verify a database, or is everything on the device itself? So the original identity.
The answer on that, Bill, is it can do any way. For this particular, what I'm showing right now, it's just all resident. Okay. I have a resident database, but this one uses LTE, and I could go to an ABIS or any other database anywhere else as long as I had connectivity.
All right.
This one will store inside of it about 10,000 identities, because an iris is only at about 3 kilobytes. So it's not much. Great question, and everything I've shown you. It can be done either one-to-N, where you could put in a CAC card, match to the CAC card, or one-to-one, or a one-to-N, where you're reaching back into a database to be able to do one-to-many. Next slide. That just shows the prism, where it takes the light that we're putting out front, going it back, and then using the camera that was already on the device. Next slide. Specifically addresses what the tablet's capable of, but again, it's a commercial tablet. If you're familiar with a Samsung Droid-based tablet, that's what it is. Next slide. Of interest, partnering with the Ref, they're getting ready to put for screening in Djibouti. They're going to put a outdoor portal, which will allow whitelist, blacklist, and so instead of, if anybody's been to our installations overseas, congregating around the bat or the hide and doing the identification, this will do it on the move, so it'll allow them to keep going. Next slide. Also, if you come upstairs, I'll demonstrate to you an enrollment kit that we can do a full-up enrollment, including fingerprints, produce a badge, but at the end of the day, take it off tether, walk around, and able to do verification of identities. Next slide. Just briefly, which I think is kind of neat. They have the ability. That is a iris identification device on a door lock. Next slide. Which shows you go up, you look at the lock, and it'll identify who you are and either give you access or not. Next slide. Just a value proposition on how biometrics can help if you get rid of ID cards and some of the other things, able to do many of the problems we face today. Next, that should be it. My contact information, if you have any others. We're upstairs in booth 7243 SRI. If you want to come by, they have the enrollment kit. They also have one of their indoor portal systems, so you can see it on the fly. They also, I'll have this here afterwards, but they have the tablet up there as well. Does anybody have any questions on the use of the iris as a form of identification, either on a tablet, any other devices I showed, or just in general? Seeing no other questions. Oh, sir, please.
Have you come up with any folks to jam that or spoof that particular system? Say the Halloween mask maneuver or something?
No, it'll work through contacts. It'll work through, like these are just reading glasses. Hold on. It'll work through glasses. It'll work through normal contacts. It won't work so you can put colored contacts in. It won't work through like tiger striped glasses or real curved sunglasses. Throws off, because what it is, it's a camera taking a picture, and it'll spread the picture, but it'll work. There is no way. I can't take your iris, a print of it, and put it in my eye, and it'll work, because it floats and it doesn't work. And the only way you spoof it is you close your eyes as you walk through, and then you're nobody, which then would cause them to do an additional verification on you. No, you can't put a picture. You can't put a picture up. Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you, John.
Sure.
And I'll come back to you to see what I